This happened back in September of 2023 when I was working the graveyard shift at a truck stop off I-40. The overnight hours were usually dead truckers grabbing coffee, the occasional insomniac buying cigarettes. Nothing prepared me for what I saw that night. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Around 2:45 a.m., a silver sedan pulled up to Pump 6. A man in his 40s got out, wouldn't make eye contact. Something felt wrong immediately. The way he kept glancing at the backseat, then at me through the window. His hands were shaking when he prepaid for gas. While he pumped, I noticed movement in his car. A small hand pressed against the rear window. Then I saw her, a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, crying silently. She wasn't buckled in. Her hair was matted, and even from 30 feet away, I could see the terror in her eyes. The man came inside for a Red Bull. "Long drive?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, taking my daughter to her mom's place," he said, but his voice cracked. He wouldn't look at me. "She okay back there? Looks pretty upset." His jaw tightened. "She's fine, just hates long car rides." He threw a 20 on the counter and turned to leave. That's when the girl mouthed something through the window. "Help me." My heart was pounding so hard I thought he'd hear it. I hit the panic button under the register silent alarm that alerts police. Then I did something stupid. I followed him outside. "Sir, your credit card got declined. Need you to come back inside." He froze, spun around with eyes that looked absolutely wild. "I paid cash." Computer saying otherwise. "It'll just take a second." He stood there for what felt like an eternity, then walked back toward the store. I moved to block his view of the pumps. Through the window, I saw Officer Ramirez's cruiser pulling in silently, lights off. The man saw it in my expression. He bolted for his car, but Ramirez was faster. Within seconds, he was face down on the pavement, screaming about his rights. The girl was someone's daughter, all right, just not his. She'd been missing from a playground in Oklahoma for 6 days. He'd been driving around, stopping at isolated gas stations, waiting for the right moment to cross state lines into Mexico. Ramirez told me later that if I hadn't stalled him, they would have been gone. The Amber Alert hadn't reached our county yet. I would have just watched them drive away. I still work that shift. Some nights I think about all the cars that pull through here, wondering what I'm not seeing. The girl's parents sent me a letter thanking me, included a photo of her smiling at her 10th birthday party. I keep it taped under the register. But I also keep a baseball bat back there now, because I learned something, that night evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it just looks tired, buying a Red Bull at 3 a.m., and if you're not paying attention, it drives right past you into the darkness. This happened last March when I was driving from Phoenix to Albuquerque for my sister's wedding. I know better than to take the back highways at night, but I was running late and thought I could shave off 40 minutes. Around 11 p.m., somewhere between nowhere and nothing, my engine started knocking. Smoke poured from under the hood. I barely got the car onto the shoulder before it died completely. No cell service, not a single bar. I tried to stay calm. Surely someone would pass by soon. But 20 minutes went by, then an hour. The desert night got colder. Every sound outside made me jump. Wind, animals, something scraping against metal. That's when I saw headlights approaching from behind. An old Chevy truck, primer gray, missing a bumper. It slowed down and stopped about 50 feet back. The driver didn't get out immediately, just sat there with the engine running. Finally, the door opened. A man in his 60s, wearing a flannel shirt and trucker cap, walked toward me. I locked my doors. He knocked on the window. "You okay, miss?" "Car broke down, I'm fine though. Help is coming," I lied. "No, it's not. No signal out here for 20 miles. He stepped back, hands visible. Name, Dale. I'm a long-haul trucker, been driving this route for 30 years. I can take a look at your engine or I can give you a ride to the next town. Your choice. Something in his voice felt genuine. I cracked the window. I don't know you. Fair enough. How about this? You video call someone, show them my face and license plate, tell them exactly where we are. I'll wait right here while you do it. Got a signal booster in my truck that might work. I followed him to his vehicle, keeping my distance. He handed me a small device through the window. Somehow, one bar appeared on my phone. I called my sister, showed her everything, told her where I was. Dale even gave her his full name and CDL number. We got my car started with jumper cables, but the engine was dying. Dale offered to follow me to the nearest town. I agreed. 15 miles down the road, I saw why he'd been so insistent. A car was parked sideways across both lanes, blocking the highway. Two men stood in front of it, waving flashlights like they needed help. Dale flashed his high beams and honked, pulling alongside me. He yelled out his window, "Stay in your car. Lock the doors. Follow me onto the shoulder." The men started running toward us. Dale gunned his engine, veering onto the narrow shoulder, clearing a path. I followed, scraping my undercarriage on rocks. One of the men grabbed for my door handle but couldn't keep up. We didn't stop for 5 miles. When we finally pulled over, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the steering wheel. Dale walked back to my car. They've been running that scam for months. Block the road, rob people, sometimes worse. Highway patrol can't catch them. How did you know? Because I've been watching for them. Lost a niece to men like that 3 years ago, different highway. I drive this route specifically now, late shift, hopping to keep people safe. He followed me all the way to the next town, waited while I checked into a motel, gave me his phone number in case I needed anything. I never saw him again after that night. 6 weeks later, I read that 2 men were arrested on that same highway for attempted carjacking and assault. Dale had called in their description and location every time he spotted them, until police finally caught them in the act with another victim. I don't know where he is now, but I think about him whenever I'm on the road. Some guardian angels wear flannel shirts and drive trucks held together with duct tape and prayer. I worked as a night attendant at County General's morgue for 2 years. It paid well, nobody bothered me, and dead people don't complain. Perfect job for someone who values solitude. What happened last October made me quit without notice. It started with a Jane Doe traffic accident victim, DOA at 9 p.m. No ID, no family contacted yet. The paramedics wheeled her in around 10:30 p.m. Mid-30s, blonde hair, wearing a blue dress. She had severe head trauma, but her face was oddly peaceful. I logged her in as drawer 7, completed the paperwork, went back to my desk. Standard procedure. The morgue was quiet except for the hum of refrigeration units. Around 1 a.m. I heard something. A soft thud from the storage room. Probably the building settling, old hospital, lots of weird noises. I ignored it. Then I heard it again, louder, like something heavy shifting position. I grabbed my flashlight and walked to the storage area. All the drawers were closed. Everything looked normal. I checked the log, no new arrivals scheduled. I was alone with 17 bodies. At 2:15 a.m., my phone buzzed. Security guard upstairs texted asking if I was moving around. He'd seen someone on the camera feed walking past the morgue entrance. I told him I'd been at my desk the whole time. That's when I noticed drawer 7 was slightly open, just an inch, like someone had pulled it out and didn't close it properly. My stomach dropped. I knew I'd shut it completely. I approached slowly, every horror movie I'd ever seen playing in my head. I pulled the drawer open. Empty. The body bag was there, unzipped from the inside, but Jane Doe was gone. I checked the log 3 times, checked the cameras. checked every drawer, called my supervisor at home, voice shaking. He thought I was pranking him until he heard the panic. "Are you sure you logged her in?" "I have the paperwork right here." "Stay where you are. I'm calling security and coming in." 20 minutes later, my supervisor, 2 security guards, and a police officer were reviewing footage. The cameras showed me wheeling in the body, logging it, closing the drawer. But there was a gap 11:47 p.m. to 12:33 a.m. where the feed was just static. 46 minutes of nothing. When it came back, the drawer was already open. No one visible on camera. The police searched the entire hospital. Nothing. They interviewed me for 3 hours, clearly suspicious. How does a dead body just disappear? They checked my background, drug tested me, investigated whether I'd sold it to some black market operation. 1 week later, they found her, walking down a highway 60 miles away, confused and barefoot, still wearing that blue dress. She had no memory of the accident, the hospital, anything. The medical examiner who'd pronounced her dead stood by his assessment: no pulse, no respiration, pupils fixed and dilated. But there she was, alive. The official report called it a case of misdiagnosis due to extreme hypothermia causing apparent death. But I saw the autopsy photos. I saw the head trauma. I read the paramedic report, 20 minutes of failed resuscitation before they called it. And I watched that security footage 100 times. There's one frame, right before the static starts, where you can see drawer 7 in the background. If you look closely, really closely, you can see the drawer handle starting to move from the inside. I don't work in morgues anymore. I stock shelves at Target now, day shift only. Because I know what I saw, and I know what every medical professional refused to say out loud: she was dead. Completely, unquestionably dead. And then she was. I've been an RN for 11 years, mostly working nights in the ICU. You develop instincts about people, which family members actually care, which ones are waiting for the inheritance, which ones can't handle the stress. But I'd never encountered anything like what happened with Mr. Patterson. He came to us after a stroke, 78 years old, stable condition, expected to recover with therapy. His daughter visited every night around 8 p.m., stayed until midnight. She seemed devoted, always asking questions about his care, bringing him items from home. Something felt off, though. He'd be improving during the day, then every morning he'd be worse, disoriented, nauseous, blood pressure erratic. The doctors couldn't figure it out. They ran tests for infection, adjusted medications, checked for secondary strokes. Nothing explained the pattern. One Tuesday night, I was charting at the nurse's station when I noticed the daughter, I'll call her V, slip into his room. This was around 10 p.m. after visiting hours, but we're usually flexible with ICU families. What caught my attention was how she looked around first, checking if anyone was watching. I pulled up the room camera on the monitor. We have them in all ICU rooms for patient safety. She was leaning over him, talking quietly, then she pulled something from her purse, a small bottle. I walked quickly toward the room, not running, didn't want to alarm other patients. Through the window, I saw her pouring liquid into his water pitcher. I opened the door. "Everything okay in here?" She jumped, nearly dropped the bottle, shoved it back in her purse. "Oh, you startled me. I was just refilling his water." "We have filtered water at the sink. You don't need to bring it from home." Her smile was too bright. "I know he prefers spring water. You know how particular elderly people can be." I nodded, kept my voice casual. "Actually, let me grab that pitcher. We need to check the temperature of liquids we give post-stroke patients. Hospital policy." Her expression flickered just for a second before the smile returned. "Of course." She handed it over, but her hand was shaking. I took the pitcher to the nurse's station, secured it, then called security and the charge nurse. V tried to leave before they arrived. claiming she forgot something in her car, but I asked her to wait, told her the doctor wanted to speak with her about her father's morning labs. Security found the bottle in her purse, some kind of herbal supplement she'd bought online, marketed as a natural detox. But she'd been giving him triple the recommended dose, mixed with his prescription blood thinners. The lab analysis came back the next day. The combination was causing internal bleeding, toxicity, and the neurological symptoms. Another week of this and he would have died. The medical examiner said it would have looked like stroke complications, natural causes. The police investigation revealed she'd already started planning his funeral, had contacted a realtor about selling his house, and had recently been denied a loan. She needed his life insurance payout. Mr. Patterson recovered fully. He has no idea his own daughter tried to kill him. His son decided not to tell him, said it would break his heart worse than the stroke did. V took a plea deal, got 8 years for attempted murder. I think about that night a lot, how close it came. If I hadn't been watching the monitor at that exact moment, if I'd trusted her smile instead of my instincts, if I'd been too busy to notice. Now I watch family members more carefully. Not cynically, most people are genuinely loving. But I've learned that desperation makes people capable of terrible things. And sometimes the person holding their hand and whispering, "I love you," is the same person slowly poisoning their water. Trust but verify. That's the lesson, especially when something doesn't add up. I've worked the night shift at a distribution warehouse since 2019. Same building, same routine, same 40,000 square feet of inventory and concrete. I thought I knew every inch of the place. I was wrong. Last November, they had me reorganizing the back section, old storage area we rarely used. Mostly outdated seasonal items and damaged goods waiting for disposal. While moving a shelving unit that hadn't been touched in years, I noticed something strange. The wall behind it didn't match. The concrete was a different color, slightly newer looking, and there was a seam almost invisible running floor to ceiling. I pushed on it, nothing. Ran my fingers along the edge until I found a small indentation, pressed it, something clicked. A section of wall swung inward about 6 inches, revealing darkness beyond. I grabbed my flashlight and pulled the door wider. Behind it was a room about 15 feet square, empty except for a metal desk, a filing cabinet, and a corkboard on the wall covered in papers. The papers were old, yellowed, some dated from the 1990s. Newspaper clippings about missing persons, photos of women, maybe a dozen different faces. Notes written in cramped handwriting, tracking movements, schedules, license plates. My hands started shaking. This was someone's stalking collection. The filing cabinet was locked. I pulled on it hard enough to bend the cheap metal and the drawer popped open. Inside were driver's licenses, credit cards, keys, all belonging to different women. And a journal, hundreds of pages detailing surveillance, fantasies, plans. I called the police immediately. While waiting, I looked at the desk more carefully. There were scratches on the surface, deep gouges like someone had carved words with a key or nail. I leaned closer with my flashlight. "Help ME" was scratched over and over into the metal. The police arrived with crime scene techs. They spent 6 hours photographing everything, taking samples, logging evidence. The detective told me they'd been investigating a series of disappearances from the late 90s and early 2000s, women who vanished from this industrial area. The cases went cold decades ago. This room connected to 3 of them. DNA evidence, personal belongings, proof that someone had been watching them before they disappeared. The handwriting in the journal matched employment records from a warehouse supervisor who'd worked at the facility from 1994 to 2003. He died in 2007, car accident. They thought the cases died with him, but now they had confirmation and evidence to close investigations that haunted families for 20 years. What they never found were the women themselves, just their belongings, just the proof they'd been taken. The warehouse owner claimed he had no idea the room existed. The building changed hands multiple times over the years. Maybe it was built during renovations and forgot. Or maybe someone knew and stayed quiet. I still work there. Company offered to transfer me to the day shift, different location, but I said no. Someone needed to be the one who found that room. Someone needed to give those families answers, even if the answers were horrifying. But I don't go near that back section anymore. They sealed the room, marked it as crime scene evidence permanently archived. Sometimes late at night, when the building is quiet and I'm alone with rows of inventory stretching into shadows, I think about what else might be hidden here. What other secrets are built into walls, waiting for someone to notice the seams that don't quite match.